Hey guys, SMG here, and we're back with a new tutorial for Age of Mythology Retold's editor. Today I'm going to be focusing around terrain, as well as making a functional map. So let's say you don't like the way that the default terrain looks, right? It's kind of bland, everybody uses it. You can go up to here, paint terrain, and what this will do, basically just change the color of the terrain. The only difference that you have to look out for is with the cliffs. Cliffs are impassable. So even if they're flat like this, or if they're just a line like that, they will be impassable for units. I'll show you guys that later. And they don't necessarily have to have an incline to them to be impassable. Like the cliff tool up here, you get an incline. So if I were to use the paint terrain tool, and I can right click whatever terrain I like just to copy it. And if I were to do something like this, now they're able to get over this cliff. It doesn't matter if there's an incline. All that matters if there's a cliff texture. So if this texture's here, they're not going to be able to pass it. But if I pull this texture, the grass texture down, they will be able to pass it. Let's get started by just picking out a nice terrain to start off with. Let's see. I do like the Greek grass. Somewhat similar to what we started off with. Let's go with 2 maybe. Yeah, that looks nice. And just like with the delete section that we looked at the other day, you do have brush settings for this. You can make it larger, smaller. We have square and hollowed out square. Hollowed out square can be nice. I don't use it too often, but there are scenarios where you'd want to use this. But let's go ahead and fill in the whole map with brick grass 2. Alright, now that I've done that, I'm going to go ahead and place some cliffs down. I want to put cliffs in between each of these bases, as I want to make this a free-for-all. Give ourselves some defendable areas. So let's go with Greek grass, as it'll match the Greek grass that we had just put down. And again, the cliff tool is right up here. Now some tips when it comes to the cliff tool. You can right click and it'll match the height of whatever you're clicking on. See right there, change the height. And you can also use the slider right here to increase the height. So I probably want maybe a 7. Yeah, let's go a little higher. Let's say 8.25. Let's go ahead and make a cross section here. Almost like a, let's say a 2x2 grid. Now you guys can make your map however you like, but this is just how I'm going to do it for the sake of the video. Alright, so next up, I'm going to place water on the map. I'm going to place it all around the edges so I can have a shortcut to each individual base. Let's go with, let's see, Creek River sounds nice. And again, I'm just going to go around the edges and just fill them in. Alright, now that I've done that, as you can see, there's parts of the hill here that are now passable. Now, all you want to do to fix that is go up to your paint terrain tool. You're going to shrink the brush, give you a little bit more leeway. And to quickly find this cliff, all I'm going to do is right click on it. It makes it really simple for me, and I'm going to extend this around the edges. Now, if you do have cliff in the water, it's okay. They can still sail over it as long as it's in deep water. I'm also going to take a bit of the Greek rock from around the edges and just make it look a little nicer. Extend that a little bit. Some Greek rock, and that might be too big. shrink my brush just a little bit more. There we go. And then I'm going to do the same for the other cliffs as well. Now, as you guys can see, I finished up doing that. The cliffs here don't look as natural as they could look. If I wanted to smooth out the cliff sides, I could always use the smooth tool and adjust it to my liking. And what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to hold left click down and I'm just going to run it over the areas that I want to smooth out a bit. Same with over here. And over here on this side. Alright, now that I'm finished doing that, maybe I decided that I wanted a cliff in the middle here instead. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to cliffs. I'm already on Greek grass. And I'm going to right click on the height of one of the cliffs I made just to copy that data down. I could also right click on the lower elevation as well, and that's going to copy that data. And I'm going to make it large. And a little bit larger. I'm going to fill in this middle space right here. There we go. Alright, as you guys can see now, we have a little bit of an issue. We have no way for units to get up. I'm just going to fix that really quick. I'm going to right click out here to get this texture. Well, first up, I'm going to go to the Paint Terrain tool. Right click up here to get the texture. I'm going to increase my brush size just a bit. And I want to make sure that this grass meets the grass on the ground. I'm going to do this for each side. Just enough to get walls placed in there, or towers, whatever you gotta do. Now, as you guys can see, it looks a little bit jagged. It looks like our units would have trouble climbing that, even though it would be perfectly fine. But I like to make it look a little bit more natural, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to the Smooth tool and increase the size a little bit, just so it fits in between here, and I'm going to go ahead and drag it across with left click. And that's going to make it look a little bit more natural for me. I'm going to go ahead and do this to the rest of the sides as well. Now my units will be able to cross this no problem. Although it does appear, it pops a little bit too much for my liking. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go back into Paint Terrain. And we're already under Greek, so there is like an in-between between this grass and this grass up here. Let's just see if we can find it. I believe it's Greek Grass 1. I'm going to shrink down my brush, just make it a little bit more natural. A little bit of an in-between. Maybe I want to just stretch the little path up here a little bit. There we go. Now let's say I wanted to make my cliffs look a little bit more jagged than what they are. I could use this tool up here, the Roughen tool. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose the size I want. And now be careful with this as it can go a little overkill. But I'm going to take it along the sides of my cliff, just like so. And as you can see, it definitely made it more jagged. But we're going to go back to the smoothing. And we're going to smooth it over one more time. Just a little bit. Now we have some more jagged looking cliffs. If I really wanted to, I could go all the way around. But I'm okay with the way it looks for now. Alright, so next I'm going to place a settlement right in the middle of the map. You guys don't have to do this. Do whatever you like. Gives them a little goal for getting to the center. Now, let's say I really like the way that a certain piece of my terrain looked. I could always terrain copy. And what this is going to do, it's going to select terrain for you to copy. So you could really select your whole cliff if you wanted to. Now, keep in mind, there's going to be some editing that you're going to need to do to make it fit in more naturally. And then we're going to want to hit Control C to copy it. And then if you want to paste, you can go to Terrain Paste, or you can hit Control V. And then you're able to select an area you want to paste it into. Just left click to do so. As you guys can see, it doesn't look completely natural, but it got the job done. I'm just going to go ahead and hit undo because I don't really like the way that looks. And as you guys can see, sometimes the undo button doesn't fix everything, so that's why I saved before I did this. See if another undo does it for us. Nope, 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 nope. So I'm just going to go ahead and load my previous version. That's why I say you need to save a lot when it comes to the editor. Go ahead and open this up. There we go, fixed just like that. Now let's say I wanted the cliff to almost be a 90-degree angle. I could go to the Plateau tool, and what this is going to do, I like to use square personally for the Plateau tool, excuse me. Now what this is going to do is it's just going to raise the land as well as paint it as well, so I can go over. And for this one, you're not able to right click. It's just going to be from whatever point you started your left click on, and you're going to drag it over. And it's going to create a nice plateau for you. Almost a 90-degree angle. Now again, units can still climb up this, so if I wanted to fix this, I would just go to the paint terrain tool, and I'd right click on one of the cliffs I wanted to copy, and I'd drag it around. It doesn't look as natural as the cliffs in the game that you make, but it does have its uses. And since I actually don't want it to be that way, I'm going to go ahead and hit undo until I get it back to where I wanted it at. And let's say I just wanted to raise or lower the terrain, and I didn't necessarily want to change the terrain itself. I could go to this tool right here, raise, lower terrain. So what this is going to do, if you right click, it's going to lower it, and if you if you right click, it'll lower. If you left click, it'll heighten it. You can change the speed of the heighten right here. So if you want it real slow so you can get detail, you can just change it to slow. You really want to, if you wanted it real fast for some reason, you could do that too. And I'm going to go ahead and fix this. The way I'm going to fix this, I'm going to hit map elevation, sample map elevation. And I'm going to right click what I want to elevate. But the problem is the brush isn't the size I want it to be. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up here to the left to brush settings. I'm going to open up that menu, and let's increase that circle just a little bit. Let's flatten out that terrain. Alright, so I'm actually going to use the raise lower terrain tool. I'm going to put it on real slow. I'm going to make my hills look a little bit more realistic in my opinion. I'm just going to raise it up in some areas to give it a little bit of more of a hilly presence. Maybe increase the brush size. It's going to make it a little bit more natural for myself. Not too noticeable, but little changes like this can make a map a lot better. Alright, so next I want to show you guys the shallow tools. So we're going to go back down to Greek River. Now I'm just going to go ahead and fill that in around Team 1's town center. That's good enough. And then we're going to want to go to Greek Shallows. Units should be able to cross this. And if I do it right, um, naval units will be able to cross it as well. Greek Shallows, there we go. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the sample elevation. I'm going to try to get like a good middle ground so both the ships and my units could cross over. So I'm going to try to get right on the side of this cliff right here, or the ledge of the land right here. All right, let's go ahead and check if I can spawn units right there. Doesn't look like it, unfortunately. Yep, it's too deep. So we're going to want to raise it just a tad bit. And again, use the sample elevation. Go to the area that you raised a little bit, right click on it. There we go. Now try to see if you can spawn a unit in on it. I'll change it units, make it a little bit more easier for myself. Let's go to hoplites. And as you can see, I can spawn units here now. And now let's see about the ships. Let's go to Byrene. And I cannot spawn ships on it. As I was saying, it can be very finicky, so you might need to work on it. Let's lower the land by right-clicking just a tad bit. Actually, move that slower. Alright, let's see if that works out for us. Again, gonna pull out another unit. Top light. Seems like I can spawn them on there. Maybe not right there, but it's okay. We only need a little bit of area. Let's go back to the Byrene. Looks like he might be able to cross now. So let's spawn one of each in. Let's go back to the hoplite. And let's play test it to see to make sure they can cross it. There we go. Look at that, they can both cross. And now, as I was saying, this can be very finicky, so take your time. You will eventually get it to work, but like I said, it's very, very finicky. So I don't actually want this on my map, so I was just doing it for the sake of the video. So I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna load my scenario back up. So I'm gonna add some trees for resources for all the civilizations on the map. Let's go with Greek as we're sticking with that theme. Let's go with oak. And I did say this in the previous video as well, but if you want the enemy AI to work, you need to make sure they have food. You need to make sure they have wood and food. And these all need to be somewhat close to their base. The AI in this game can be kind of dumb sometimes, but that's okay. We don't judge. Gonna spawn some forests in for each team. Yeah, I don't really like it there, so I'm gonna hit undo. Put it up here instead. Connected to the water. Maybe add a little bit more on this side. As you can see on the map, there's a little bit of grass left in there, so I'm going to try to fill that in if I can. So no unit's going to get back there unless they chop it down. And the forest tool, it will remove um, the paint terrain that you have on the ground. So let's say if you have a cliff right here, it will remove that. And once they chop it down, they will be able to travel between both sides. So we don't necessarily want that. Just filling in this side. Happy little mistakes, as Bob Ross used to say. There it is. Our map is starting to come together. So next we're going to want gold. Let's go to nature, gold. Now, I don't want everybody to start with a large amount of gold, so I'm going to start with gold mine small. Give everybody just enough to start off with. Try to make it pretty equal when it comes down to it. And maybe at the center of the map, I want to place a few gold mines down, give some more incentive to taking over this area. Maybe I put gold mines over here on the cliff's edge. And the thing with placing buildings and natural objects like this, they will change the terrain underneath them, so you can always fix that with the smooth tool. Smooth that out for yourself. I believe it happened over here. Let's see. Smooth it out just a little bit. Need one more gold mine for the far end. There we go. Alright, so the next thing this map needs is some food. So let's get on that. I'm actually going to spawn in some fish first. I like me some salmon. Another thing you guys can do as well. There are birds in this game. These are purely for aesthetics, but I'm gonna spawn a few hawks in this map. Make sure it's on nature's team, because sometimes some of the animals like to change to team one, and we don't want a hawk on our team for any reason. So let's add a few of those in. They'll randomly travel across the map doing their thing. So I guess the next thing we're gonna want is maybe some grass. Let's see if that's under nature. I might be under embellishments, but let's see. Yep, grass is under embellishments. Let's see. No, you know what? I think it's called plants for some reason. Nature again? Plants? Thank you. Yeah, plants is under nature. It makes sense, but some things will surprise you. I don't have it completely memorized. All right, let's go with Greek bush. And again, this is just for looks. Units can travel through these plants. Maybe put some bushes around the edges. And if there is another version of this, you can always right click to get the other version of the bush. And maybe I don't want bushes up on the high ground. Let's go with the ferns. We'll put ferns on high ground. Just make everything look a little bit more natural. Some around the settlement, maybe. Yeah, too much to my liking. Let's get rid of a few of those without ado. Okay, there we go. Now, it's starting to look more complete, but the ground's still a little bit bland for my liking. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back up and paint terrain. Then let's go into Greek. And I'm going to go to Greek Grass 1 because this has some amount of dirt in it. I'm just going to follow the edge of the cliff. Give us a little bit of dirt there, maybe around the trees as well. Make it all the way small. As small as it'll go. You don't have to. Alright, so maybe I want some pathways leading between town centers. City tiles? No, no. Oh, maybe. You know what, let's go back into Greek. I believe that there's a pathway under this. Yeah, Greek road right here. Some of the terrain doesn't match as well as some of the other terrain, but that's okay. You kind of have to go through it and learn for yourself. Let's go to the brush settings and increase the size a little bit. Let's make it square. A little too big. Trying to make it fit right around that town center. And we'll do it for each town center. Still a little bit too big. You can also use the arrow keys as well to snap. There we go. There we are. Let's change that back to circle. Let's get really small with it. Now I want to kind of make these look like on travel paths. Like they don't get much use, but I'm gonna go and I'm gonna go ahead and make this as small as brush possible. And I'm gonna run a path to each of the town centers, back up to the settlement. I didn't like what I did there. We're gonna have a trail coming right out of this doorway. Same for this side. Have a trail going down here. Back to the settlement. Town center rather. Have a trail come out of here. There we are. We'll have a trail come out of this doorway. Then we'll have a meetup. Now let's say you don't want this this path to be as thick. You could always right click the terrain that it's on. You can go and you can kind of shorten it a little bit to make it look a little bit more natural. Maybe you want it cutting out in parts. Again, up to you. There we go. I want to make it a little, or I want to make it look a bit run down, like it doesn't get too much use. There we go. And when switching to a new terrain, again, right click the terrain you want. Okay, just finish filling in the spaces. Alright, now we're going to want to put some food around the map. I personally like deer, but it could really be anything you want, any animal. I'll rotate them around a little bit to make them look natural. Put a couple closer to my starting base. Again, right-clicking will change the version. So I have a female deer and I have a male deer. Alright, next I'm going to give them some chickens. Everyone needs a little bit of chicken. Give them each 5 chickens. Someone... Oh, they all got chickens. And let's put some goats around the map for everyone to find. I'll just scatter them here and there. Doesn't matter too much. Okay, now that that's done, I kind of want to smooth out these edges a little bit more. Let's go back up to the water tool. Let's find Greek River. And let's go ahead and smooth out those corners a little bit more. And if you do end up going over something like fish, they will disappear. And you'll have to place them back down, but no big deal. There, I like that a little bit more. A little bit bigger. Smooth out the bottom of the lake a bit. Let's go over here to this corner. I didn't leave myself too much room when it came to this corner, but I can still work with it. Oh, don't like that. Undo. I'm going to go ahead and save just in case. Remember, save, save, save. There we go. And with this corner. Last corner. Oh, there goes my my fish. And this bush is a little too far off, so I'm going to go ahead and highlight it, and I'm going to use the position object tool, and I'm going to bring it up back onto line. Put it somewhere else instead. Maybe scatter some trees around the map, like just little section of trees, make it look a little bit more natural, like so. As we know, in real life, trees don't all grow in just one spot. And if you wanted to too, you can mess with the tree density slider as well. It'll make it so less trees spawn. I'll give you guys an example of that right now. I'll put it right here. Less trees than normal. Undo. Make that minimal. Very little trees, lots of shrubs, and underbrush. You can also change the slider for the underbrush as well. Very, very thinned out. You can change that to your liking. I usually like it up all the way, to be honest with you. This up here is a little too plain for me, so I'm going to grab Greek grass too and kind of run it through a few areas here, just so we have some variety. Maybe the grass grows better in the center of the hill than near the ledges. There we go, that's blending quite a bit better now. Did miss some areas here and there, but that's okay. Go back and fix those. Happy little mistakes. Now we basically have a fully functioning map. There's not a lot else you could do. I mean, there's a lot more you could do, but it really just comes down to how much detail you want to put in the map. Now, to get a good overview of your map, you could always go up to View and go into, see if I can find it, Free Camera, and then it allows you to scroll all the way out. And this is what we built today. So let's go ahead and give that a play test. Go back to camera. A play test to make sure everything works. You always want to give your map a play test before you start, because there's a lot of unexpected things that could happen. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to explore around the map, see what's going on, make sure the AI is functioning properly. That's one thing we forgot to do too, is place relics around the map. Yep, the AI seems to be functioning properly. They're functioning properly. And this team's functioning properly. So we made a successful map here. Go ahead and exit out. Let's get a relic going. Nature. Relic. Now your map doesn't have to have relics, but I like to put relics in my maps. All skirmish maps have relics on them as well, so why not? We'll hide them around here. We'll put one here. Put one here by the gold line. Don't want to make it too consistent for everyone, so we'll put we'll hide it behind the trees over here. And don't want to make it too easy for any one person to grab. So you know what? We'll put the last one up here. Hidden behind these trees a bit. Alright, last couple of things I want to show you before I go. The water actually has what they call a water editing tool. You click on the water. Let me save before I do this, just in case I mess up too badly. Click on the edit water tool. Click on the water you want to edit, and then you're able to change it to any other water you want. So let's say I wanted an Egyptian river. I could do that if I wanted to, and hit update water. It's going to make it all Egyptian river. That actually looks kind of nice, to be honest. But what it's going to do is it's going to take the textures that are nearest to the water, and it's going to replace them. So you're going to have to touch up edges like this, and maybe around the trees as well. But it does look pretty nice. There's also different things we could try out, like the Greek hybrid. That looks pretty slick. Maybe I want to do the Greek Sea. Update that. Doesn't look bad looking either. There is another option. It's Beautify. What this does is it's just going to change the textures around your water. It doesn't really do too much in this game compared to the old Age of Mythology editor. It used to add trees and rocks and whatnot, but none of this version. And it will also add textures to the bottom of the water as well, as you just seen there. And you can also hit remove water, but that's pretty self-explanatory. It'll remove all the water and just leave you with what do I want to say? An empty incline down here, empty hole. I'll just do it for shoots and giggles, as you can see. Alright guys, that's going to be it for this video. I do have one more tutorial that's going to be coming out. It's going to be based on the triggers and how to use them. And if you want to be kept up to date with that, please hit that subscribe button. And if you found anything in this video useful, I always appreciate the likes. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.